What if every love you've ever experienced was never just chance? What if the heartbreaks, the sudden encounters, even the painful mistakes in romance were not accidents, but chapters of a story written deep within your soul long before you understood what love really meant? Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychoanalyst, believed love was never a random game. To him, every meaningful connection originates from the unconscious, the hidden layers of the psyche that guide us through life, like an invisible hand. He saw relationships not as coincidences, but as synchronicities, patterns of meaning that appear in our lives when we are ready to learn something essential about ourselves. Think about it. That person who broke your heart, the one you couldn't. Forget the one who felt like destiny. None of them arrived by accident. They came as messengers, mirrors of your inner world, reflections of what your unconscious wanted you to face. Jung once said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." In other words, there are no random meetings. Even the briefest sparks of love are stages in the evolution of your soul. The unconscious, Jung explained, is not just a personal memory bank. Beneath that lies the collective unconscious, a vast storehouse of images, symbols, and patterns that humanity has carried across generations. This hidden realm holds archetypes, universal forces that shape our inner life and outer experiences. And in love, two archetypes stand out most: the anima, the image of the ideal woman within a man's soul, and the animus, the image of the ideal man within a woman's soul. When you meet someone who stirs your heart at first sight, it isn't because they are perfect. It's because they awaken these archetypal images within you. They seem magical, extraordinary, almost unreal, because you're not just seeing them. You're seeing yourself reflected through the anima or animus. That overwhelming attraction, that obsession, that magnetic pull, it's not about who they truly are. It's about the mirror of your own unconscious shining back at you. This is why early love often feels intoxicating but unstable. You're not really in a relationship with the other person. You're in a relationship with your own projection. You are dating the missing part of your soul as you imagine it to be, cast onto them like a shadow. And inevitably, as time passes, that illusion begins to fade. You start to see them not as a symbol, but as a real, flawed human being. Jung called this moment withdrawing the projections. It's when you reclaim the unconscious images you placed on someone else and begin to see clearly. This is not failure, it is the most important step in love's journey. Because only then can you move from unconscious infatuation to conscious connection. True love, Jung believed, doesn't come from projections, fantasies, or illusions. It emerges when two people meet beyond archetypes, when one true self connects with another true self. This is love as transformation, not just attraction. And it is a vital part of what Jung called the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole, of integrating every fragment of your psyche, including the shadow, the light, and the unloved parts of yourself. Love, especially romantic love, is one of the most powerful mirrors for this journey. It exposes your hidden wounds, challenges your ego, and forces you to grow. When you fall deeply for someone, it is never just about them. It is your soul pulling you toward an inner awakening, using the relationship as the stage for your transformation. Fairy tales, Jung observed, often carry this hidden truth. In stories like Beauty and the Beast or The Little Mermaid, love is never only about happiness. It is about transformation, facing trials, confronting illusions, and awakening to a deeper truth. These tales are not just children's stories. They are reflections of the archetypal process happening inside you when you love. So when you look back on your past loves, don't see them as mistakes. See them as symbols, as chapters in your soul's unfolding. One relationship may have awakened your passion. Another may have shown you your deepest wound. Another may have taught you boundaries. Every love, every heartbreak carries meaning. Nothing was wasted. The person who hurt you may not have been the one, but they were essential for the stage you were in. They helped you see what you could not see before. As Jung once said, What you meet in another being is the projection of your own level of evolution. In other words, every partner you've ever loved reflected where you were in your journey toward wholeness, and that is why Jung insisted that love is not a coincidence. It is destiny, not in the sense of a fixed fate, but as a path of awakening. Love comes to challenge you, to awaken you, and to lead you back to yourself. If every love you've experienced was never an accident, then what about the heartbreaks? Why does something meant to awaken us hurt so much? Carl Jung did not see emotional wounds as failures. He believed they are necessary stages in the alchemy of the soul. There is no coming to consciousness without pain, he wrote. Awakening cannot happen in comfort. It happens when the ego cracks open, when illusions collapse, and when you are forced to face what you've long avoided. Think back to the times you loved deeply and lost, the breakup that shattered you, the betrayal that left you numb, the nights you asked, "What did I do wrong?" Jung would say, nothing was wrong. The pain itself was part of the transformation. It was the fire that melts away masks, defense mechanisms, and false identities, leaving you no choice but to meet your shadow, the hidden parts of yourself you deny, but which secretly control your life. Love, in this sense, is not just sweet. Emotion. It is a mirror that shows you what you most want to hide. When your heart breaks, the weak, the fearful, and the desperate parts of you rise to the surface. You meet the loneliness you were running from. You feel the fear of abandonment you never admitted. And this encounter with the shadow is painful, but also necessary. Because only by seeing the darkness within you can you begin to discover your true light. Ask yourself, what have you learned from your heartbreaks? Not as forced optimism, but as honest reflection. Did you love someone because you truly saw them, or because you feared being alone? Did you hold on too long because you didn't believe you were enough on your own? Did you trade your honesty just to keep their presence? These questions are not about blame. They are about awakening. Jung did not believe in happily ever after as the final destination of love. To him, every relationship is a gateway in the individuation process, the journey of returning to your authentic self. And ironically, the relationships that wound you most deeply are often the most important ones. They burn away your illusions and force you to rebuild yourself on stronger, more truthful foundations. This is why Jung studied alchemy so passionately. He saw it as a metaphor for inner transformation. Just as base metals are burned and refined into gold, so too is the human soul purified through love, loss, and rebirth. Every heartbreak is a stage of fire, where what is false is burned away so that something more authentic can emerge. When you are in the middle of heartbreak, it feels like destruction. But in Jung's eyes, it is rebirth. The old self, the one built on illusions and fear, must die so the truer self can be born. This death and rebirth of the ego is not a one-time event. It happens again and again, each time pulling you deeper into consciousness, each time stripping away another layer of illusion. Perhaps you've wondered, when will I be loved the right way? But Jung would suggest a different question. Have I learned enough from pain to love from wholeness? Because the love that truly heals does not come to those who are still trapped in fantasies of being saved. It comes to those who have faced themselves, who no longer seek completion from another, but are ready to love from the fullness of who they are. This is the difference between unconscious love and conscious love. Unconscious love clings, obsesses, and fears abandonment. Conscious love sees clearly, sets boundaries, and values honesty. Unconscious love repeats the same wounds. Conscious love transforms them into wisdom. If you are still carrying the residue of a broken love, pause. Don't rush to call it failure. Don't rush to escape the pain. Instead, sit with it. Ask what part of you is being revealed. What lesson is this heartbreak forcing you to learn? It may be the lesson of self-respect. It may be the courage to let go. It may be the strength to say, I am whole even without you. Jung once said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. and heartbreak often pushes you into that terror. Because in the silence after love ends, you have to face yourself. The truth is, love doesn't just reveal who the other person is, it reveals who you are when all illusions are stripped away. If you can endure that, if you can stay with the pain instead of running from it, something powerful happens. Gratitude begins to appear. You begin to see that the one who hurt you came not to destroy you, but to awaken you. Every person who broke your heart was also a messenger from your deeper soul, delivering a piece of your individuation map. This is not romanticizing pain, it is recognizing its purpose. Love that wounds is also love that transforms. The relationships that left you crying in the night were not meaningless. They carved lessons into your soul that nothing else could teach. They were preparing you for a love that does not come from lack, but from wholeness. Because when you have faced the shadow, when you have passed through the fire of heartbreak, you no longer enter love begging to be saved. You enter love with the courage to be seen. You don't need someone to complete you. You are already whole. And from that place, the love that comes next will not be an escape from pain, but a resonance deep enough to transform your inner world. If love is not an accident, and if heartbreak is not a failure, then what is the purpose of this long journey through attraction, projection, pain, and rebirth? For Jung, the answer is clear. Love is the path that leads you to the self, not the I. Ego self that craves attention and security. But the deeper self, the wholeness that lives within you, waiting to be realized. Every relationship you have ever known is like a mirror reflecting pieces of this self. One partner showed you your longing. Another showed you your fear. Another revealed your hidden strength. Each encounter added another fragment to the puzzle of who you truly are. This is why Jung insisted that we do not choose our loves blindly. Something far deeper chooses for us. Our unconscious guides us toward the people who will awaken what we need to face. Think about the person who once felt like your destiny. Perhaps it didn't last. Perhaps it ended painfully. But in their presence, something in you awakened. That awakening, whether joyful or painful, was destiny itself. The soul does not measure success by forever. It measures success by transformation. Jung believed that true love emerges only after you have faced your projections and reclaimed them. In the early stages, you love the image of your anima or animus, your idealized other half. You see perfection where none exists. But with time, the illusion dissolves. The other person becomes real. Their flaws disturb you. Their humanity breaks through the fantasy. And it is in this moment, when the projection shatters, that the real possibility of love begins. To love another person not as a fantasy, not as a savior, not as your missing piece, but as themselves, that is conscious love. And conscious love does not imprison. It does not demand the other person heal your wounds. It creates space for both souls to grow. It allows difference, imperfection, and change. It is love as dialogue, not possession. But here is the paradox. You cannot arrive at conscious love without first passing through unconscious love. The illusions, the heartbreaks, the desperate clinging, they were all part of your preparation. Without projection, you would never feel the intensity of early passion. Without heartbreak, you would never awaken to your shadow. Without loss, you would never discover your inner strength. So when Jung says your love is destined, it does not mean there is one perfect partner chosen by fate. It means that every relationship is destined to serve your growth. Some will stay with you for years, others only for a season, but all of them are teachers. And perhaps, after you have walked through enough fire, after you have faced your shadow and learned self-respect, you may meet someone with whom conscious love becomes possible. This is not a love that saves you. It is a love that mirrors your wholeness. Two people who no longer seek completion from each other, but instead recognize one another as complete beings. In this kind of love, there is freedom. There is honesty. There is depth. Jung often wrote about the union of opposites, the sacred, marriage of anima and animus, masculine and feminine, light and shadow. This union is not just about finding another person. It is about finding balance within yourself. When you accept both your strength and your vulnerability, your light and your darkness, you no longer project those missing parts onto others. You carry them within you. And from that place, love becomes not a desperate search, but a meeting of equals. This does not mean the journey ends. Individuation is lifelong. Every relationship, even the most conscious one, will continue to challenge you. But the challenges no longer feel like punishment, they feel like invitations to grow. Even conflict becomes a mirror, showing you where you still need to awaken. So if you wonder whether love is worth it, whether the pain, the heartbreak, the endless searching have meaning, remember this. Every step, every loss, every longing has been shaping you into who you are meant to become. You are not moving blindly through chaos. You are following a path written deep within your soul. The love you thought was the end of your world was actually the beginning of your awakening. The one who left you crying in the night was also the one who showed you your strength. The relationships that didn't last were never wasted time. They were chapters in the story of your individuation. In the end, love is not about finding the one. Love is about becoming the one, becoming whole, conscious, and alive to the fullness of your being. And when two such souls meet, the experience is not just romance. It is alchemy. It is transformation. It is destiny. So the next time you find yourself in love, whether it lasts a moment or a lifetime, don't ask, "Is this forever?" Instead ask, "What is this teaching me? What part of myself is awakening through this love?" Because once you see it this way, you'll realize something profound. Your heart's journey was never an accident. It has always been leading you, step by step, toward your wholeness.